Hello, second graders, and welcome to today's math lesson for the day. Today we're going to be doing lesson 7.8, which is time to the hour and half hour. So we're kind of taking a step away from our money unit for now, and we're going to be going into telling time and telling time on a clock. So the essential question that we're going to be answering today in this lesson is, how do you tell time to the hour and half hour on a clock? And if you haven't heard those terms before, hour and half hour, you're going to learn about them in this lesson. So we're just going to get started with the video and work on the activities together, and then I'll make another video where I kind of go into more examples and more activities on Smart Notebooks. So for now, let's just watch the video and do the activities together.
Hi, friends. You know how sometimes you get so excited that you just can't sit still? That's how I feel about tonight's boat race. Oh, it's going to be so much fun. I know the race starts at 7:30, but I don't know what 7:30 looks like. Maybe it would help if we looked at a clock. What will the clock look like at 7:30? I need to find out about telling time to the hour and half hour. Come with me and let's find out.
Let's show times to the hour and half hour using only the hour hand. The time shown is 11 o'clock. Because the hour hand is pointing to the number 11, place the hour hand on this clock to show 2 o'clock. At 2 o'clock, the hour hand points to the 2. When the hour hand moves from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, how much time has passed? 1 hour. Now let's place the hour hand to show half past 2 o'clock. The hour hand points halfway between the 2 and the 3 to show half past 2. This clock shows 8 o'clock. The hour hand points to the 8. This is the minute hand. It's longer than the hour hand. It points to the 12. Let's show 8 o'clock on a digital clock. It takes 5 minutes for the minute hand to move from one number to the next number on a clock face. It takes 30 minutes for the minute hand to move halfway around the clock. "30 minutes have passed." The clock now shows 8:30. The hour hand points halfway between the 8 and the 9. The minute hand points to the 6. 8:30 can also be shown on a digital clock. The 30 tells you that the time is 30 minutes after the hour. What's the time?
Okay, so just a couple things to kind of reiterate what they said. So first of all, this shorthand here is the hour hand. So whatever this one is pointing to, that's what hour it is. The bigger hand, or the longer hand, is the minutes hand. And what she said was that each number is 5 minutes. So if you see like these little tiny lines, that would be 1 minute. So it would be 12:01, 12:02, 12:03, 12:04, and 12:05. So each number on the clock is 5 minutes. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. And then once that minute hand is on the 12, it is o'clock. So for example, if this little hand was pointing to the 3 and the big hand was pointing to the 12, it would be 3 o'clock. Okay, so let's take a look at what time it is here. So the hour hand, the shorthand, is pointing right in between the 3 and the 4. Okay, so that means that the hour is 3. All right, and now the minutes hand is pointing to the 6. So we're going to count by 5 starting at the 1 to find out how many minutes past 3 o'clock it is. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Okay, so this is showing 30 minutes and this is showing 3. So it would be 3:30 is the time.
Excellent! 30 minutes have passed since 3 o'clock, so the time is 3:30.
And another way to remember it too, it's half past 3. And if you would to make like a long line almost going directly across the clock, it would break it up into halves, right? So that's why we always say, or we don't always say it, but sometimes if it's 3:30, we could also say half past 3. Okay?
Now let's practice with the personal math trainer.
All right. So let's use some examples. Okay, so the problem says, look at the time, select the clocks that represent the given times. So part 1 out of 3, so 6:30. Okay, so we're looking for one that says 6:30. So I look at option A, and I notice that the hour hand is pointing to the 6, but the long hand is pointing to the 12. So remember, whenever that minutes hand, the longer hand, is pointing to the 12, that means o'clock. So this clock right here is showing me 6 o'clock. And that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for 6:30. All right, so option A can't work. Let's try option B. So the minutes hand is pointing in between the 7 and the 8. So we're looking for 6:30. So if the hour hand, the smaller hand, is pointing in between 7 and 8, that would be 7. And then the minutes hand is pointing to the 6, which would be 30. So this clock is showing 7:30. Okay, so the minutes hand is in the right spot, but the hour hand is not. It would have to be in between the 6 and the 7. Okay, let's check C. So again, we're looking for the hour hand or the short hand to be in between the 6 and 7, which this one is, and we're looking for the minutes hand to be on the 6, because remember, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So the 6 represents 30 minutes. So in this clock, I see that the hour hand is between the 6 and 7, and the minutes hand is on the 6, so that shows 6:30. So our option is, the one that we're going to click is C. And it doesn't seem like it's letting me click it. Oh, there we go. Okay. So then part 2 of 3 is asking to show 2 o'clock. So we are looking for a clock that is showing the small hand or the hour hand on the 2 and the longer hand or the minutes hand on the 12, because remember, 12 means o'clock. Whenever that long minutes hand is on the 12, that means it's o'clock. So I'm going to give you a second to just kind of look at your options and see if you can find a clock that has the small hour hand on the 2 and the long minute hand on the 12. Okay, so if you said A, then you are correct, because the hour hand is pointing to the 2 and the long minute hand is pointing to the 12, so that means that it is 2 o'clock. Okay? And then our last problem. So part 3 out of 3 says 10 o'clock. So we're looking for a clock that is showing 10 o'clock. So that would mean that the small hour hand is pointing to the 10 and the long minutes hand is pointing to the 12. Because again, the minute hand pointing to the 12 means o'clock. So take a few seconds, see if you can find a clock on here that shows the small hour hand pointing to the 10 and the long minutes hand pointing to the 12. Okay, so if you picked option D, you are correct because the small hour hand is pointing to the 10, the long minute hand is pointing to the 12, so therefore this clock is showing 10 o'clock. So our answer would be D. Okay? All right. And so it's going to have us check our answers. So we were right on part 1. Oop, hold on, go back. So we were correct on part 1, part 2, and we were correct on part 3. Good job. Okay, so last problem, it says, look at the clock hands. Enter the time. So let's start with the hour hand first, because that's the one that we write first when it comes to digital time. So I see that the small hour hand is pointing in between the 10 and 11. So that means that when it's pointing in between the 10 or 11, it means that the hour is 10, okay? Because it's not quite at 11 yet. It's still at 10, but there's a few minutes have gone past 10 o'clock. So whenever you see the hand in the middle, it always means that a few minutes have gone by since it became 10 o'clock. So the hour is 10, and then we look at this long minute hand, and it looks like it's on the 6. So halfway around the clock already. It started here, and it went all the way down to here. So it's half the clock, so half past 10. Okay, and remember, to find out what each number on the clock is worth, we always count by 5s. So we start with 1, and we go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Okay, so the time on the clock is 10:30.
Fantastic!
All right, so it's a little complicated, a lot of things to remember, okay, but with more practice, we'll get better at telling time. So what we are going to do now is we are going to try our homework.
Now try your homework on your own with the personal math trainer. It includes the exercise you saw at the beginning of the lesson.
So if you are comfortable and you would like to sign into Think Central and do the assignment for 7.8, you are more than welcome to. If you still need some more help and you need a little bit more practice on telling time, please make sure you check out the video next to this one where I kind of go over some more activities that deal with telling time. So be sure to check out that video if you need some extra help. Otherwise, if you are ready, you can go sign into Think Central and do the lesson for, do the assignment for lesson 7.8. Okay, everybody? Nice job today. Good luck.